Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Well, today, Yub Nub is especially happy, as are all my other Ewoks, because today I'm going to be talking about a lot of children's Ewok books. All right, yes, I know, you must be excited too. So let's begin. The first one we're going to talk about is The Ewok Who Was Afraid. This was written by Claire Pittman, and in this one, Willie is super scared, but he finds strength and he finds out to be brave when he has to go rescue his brother Wicket, who is involved in a boat accident and is stuck on the side of a cliff with rushing water. Oh no, will Willie be able to save the day? You know he will. This is kind of like an oversized children's book. It's very easy to read. There's a lot of pictures. And Willie and Wicket are actually Wicket's older brothers, so it's kind of a little bit about them and their adventures. Now the next one is written by Melinda Luke, and it is called The Baby Ewoks Picnic Surprise. In this one, Wicket and Ganesha take Nippet and Wiley out on a picnic, and the little walklings get in trouble. That's it. That's all. You're welcome. Next up by Melinda Luke is Wicket Finds a Way. Now in this one, Wicket goes in search of some fuzzy nettle plant to save Liara. Now if you don't know who Liara is, she's actually in the cartoon series, which happens after all of these books. And she doesn't look like Liara from the cartoon series. In fact, she looks very similar to Ganesha. So that's a little weird. Now, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me get to the next one. It is called 3 Cheers for Ganesha, and it's written by Jane Gerver. And this one, Ganesha wants to win something else other than basket weaving. She's always #1 in basket weaving, but she can do more. So she stumbles through a few other contests and finally comes up on top and wins one. And of course, at the end, she chides Wicket. Maybe he needs to learn basket weaving and try to get first place from her. It's kind of cute. I think she wins by accident, but still it's fun. And all 3 of these books I just mentioned are little baby paperback books you can probably get for cheap. I don't think they're that expensive. But there is one more I want to talk about. It's called The Ewoks Hang Gliding Adventure. Now this one was written by Judy Herbston, and in this one, Wicket and Tebow go hang gliding in a storm, and they crash and they get lost. They don't know where their village is. And you're thinking, wait a minute, how can Ewoks get lost? This is their village. Now remember, these are younger Ewoks, and maybe the storm got them turned around, and sometimes even in the woods that you know, sometimes you can get set off course. I know I've been lost in woods that we used to go camping before, kind of got off a little bit down the road, whoops, wrong direction. So they get lost in it. The next story is also written by Melinda Luke. It is Wicket Goes Fishing. Now in this book, Wicket is going fishing and his mom makes him take little Winda along. Wicket doesn't want to do that, and he hates it. But then Logray teaches him a very important lesson of what it means to be a good older brother. Now this is one of those lesson learned, stories. It's different from the little mini books. It's actually a bigger book, and it's fine, but all these books are kiddie books. Now there's one final one that I want to mention before I give my final thoughts on all of these, and it's How the Ewoks Save the Trees. This one was written by James Howe, and Wicket and Ganesha have to save the trees from these flogs. Now flogs we hear about in the cartoon series. These look a lot different than they did in the cartoon. They are a lot scarier. Folks, this is the early 80s, and back then you could make children's books a lot scarier than they are now. So this is a hardback, actually, novel. I have it in my collection. And as you see on all of these, they say Return of the Jedi on them. Now, don't be fooled. That doesn't mean they happen during Return of the Jedi, or right before Return of the Jedi, or right after Return of the Jedi. Actually, in truth, these take place years before Return of the Jedi. Why did they have the title Return of the Jedi on them? Well, because franchising, right? Hey, yeah, this is from, you remember the Ewoks, they're from Return of the Jedi. And here's some adventures from them. So take that title that you see there with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean it's placed in the timeline after or right before the movie. This takes place years before the movie. It also takes place before the cartoon series, which is why some of the characters don't look the same. You know, Flogs, I told you, look different in the cartoon than they did in this book. But I remember buying these, and these are some of the first books I bought right after Disney bought Lucasfilm, because I'd always known about them, and I was like, well, someday I'll get them. And when this buyout happened, I said, oh, it's time for me to start buying them. And I remember I bought all of them. They're very easy to find, or they were back in the day, and they were very cheap to find too. I don't think you're going to have any trouble finding these. I remember they all came in about the same time, and I saved them up, and then I just read them all in one night. I sat there on my bed. My wife was with me. She's like, what are you reading? And I was like, oh, just children's Ewoks books. And she's like, ooh, I would read those. Those look fun. And they're just children's books. There's nothing that big about them. But I wanted them because they are expanded universe stuff. Now, should you get them? I don't know. If you want to be this big avid collector like me, then yeah, I guess you should. They're really cheap. Do they add anything to the expanded universe? Are they really good? No, not really. They're children's books. Now, of course, I love the Ewoks, so for me it was kind of cool to read all these. And you can read that entire stack of books I told you in probably 20 minutes, maybe 15. It didn't take me long to shoot through all those books there. And there's not much of a story there with them anyway. But they do happen in the timeline at this moment. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. I'll see you next time with another video.